Hello and welcome back to Always Off Brand. I am your co-host, Summer Jubileer, along with Scott Oshman.
Oh, good morning, Summer.
Good morning, good morning. And we have Haley Brucker. Haley in the news.
The energy in the room is great. I love it. Good morning.
I know. We're 20 minutes late to starting the pod. Our guest was on time, but we are here and ready to go.
Oh, we haven't been together for a while.
It's been 3 weeks
in real time. Summer and I did the e-tail. I have a client e-cloth, so I can I'm not nonstop e-cloth e-tail.
You're embarrassing yourself, Scott.
Thank you very much. E-tail, which by the way, we still have 2 or 3 more episodes to come out.
I love it. I love it. And I love that there's short little like juicy bursts of like a quick little 30-minute snack.
Yeah.
And for me, if you listen to podcasts like I do, that's like more like 15 minutes because I listen on 1.5. Hey, I gotta get through content.
And just so you guys know, top 5 podcasts here in 100 retail feed spot. But we are on the YouTube, and I'm now doing shorts, which we have the short of Bryn Snyder, previous guest, co-founder, CEO of Slate Flosser, which I'm using, by the way, and liking. Hers has over 500 views.
Oh my gosh, I love it. She gave so much great insight. It was so like open and vulnerable. I'm like, yes, I made mistakes.
It was.
I appreciate that.
I just have to file a complaint with the AI tool that makes my face look trollish. Oshman,
you're beautiful. I can't control the AI machine.
I just feel like I'm sitting with my face in the screen, and it's just like I put makeup on today because I am now self-conscious about the stupid AI video cuts.
Opus AI, it's the only AI I love. I throw the video in there and it chops up into all these little things, but I can't control it. Like moves the screen around, it does all kinds of stuff. So I apologize.
It's cool, but you know, Summer and I have standards for ourselves.
Well, I have listener, you don't know, but I am suited up today. I got a blazer on today for our guest because he is always blazered up. And we had a great time at e-tail.
You could have, told everyone you were wearing a blazer or dressing up.
Could I?
Yeah.
Why would I?
I was dressed up last night. I went to a lovely 5th grade middle school band concert.
Oh, what'd they play today? Maybe Chris.
Hot cross buns. Hot cross buns.
This very first song, famous for beginning instruments, is Hot Cross Buns.
Okay, that doesn't sound. You can't whistle.
Wait, you can't whistle? I can whistle. I think the Botox is kind of limiting what I can do.
Oh my God. Of course it is. Maybe you should rethink that.
I just did it for the first time. It's called a lip flip. It's just a little like dab of and then they're like, you may not be able to drink out of a straw. I'm like, that's fine. But I've had no problems drinking out of a straw. I've had no problems. I haven't tried to whistle since getting this done, and clearly I can't whistle. I can always whistle. I don't know what's happening. Oh, I do know. Actually,
you do know what's happening. You chose to have it happen. You look fabulous. It's okay.
I mean, you can't tell in this video, but they do look nice.
That's great.
Oh my
yes,
God.
I haven't ever done my lips. Just my
So, it wasn't lips. It was just right here. They do it right here and right here.
Yeah, because nobody wants to look like a duck.
And it's supposed to like lift it a little bit. And it dissolves in 3 months.
Here's my issue, okay? You see on television, these women, they can't move and men now, they can't move their face. They literally can't move their face. They're like a mannequin.
Yeah.
So lucky.
What?
So lucky.
They're so lucky.
So lucky.
Oh my gosh, I have so many facial expressions. I'm just an expressive, energetic human. And like my face, if it doesn't move, it's going to look like I'm dead.
Well, speaking of facial expressions.
Oh, you guys are freaking awesome.
First, I gotta do this first. I gotta play this.
Oh no.
What? Oh, this is the one oh my God, I'm in the same shirt.
Every day I wake up, I pour myself a cup of that rich Folgers aroma. The best part of waking up, it's that do-wop, and all my do. And I'm gonna roll my always coming through. Whoa, the best part of waking up is
Folgers in your cup.
Exactly.
I ruined it. I ruined it. I ruined it. But I was so excited. It was such a good song.
I should I even do the normal one? I got to do the normal one.
Yeah,
you already know who he is. He's going to add it to the YouTube stage, ladies and gentlemen. He's back for his second appearance. He's a runner. He's a singer. He's a C-suite guy from First Mover. He's an educator. He's everything, and he's back at the Always Off-Brand stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Chris Perry.
Wow. What? I'm omni-channel. I don't want to say like omnipresent because then it'd be like I'm God, but I'm not. I'm a demigod. Only to myself. My wife quickly humbles me back to where I really belong. But
speaking of your wife, how's her book doing? Is she selling a lot of those books?
It's going great. Launched in November, and so we kind of have we're in the greater Boston area, so we got like the local buzz and national buzz for her.
Well, congratulations to have a writer in the house.
See, then I can retire and just.
I know. Is she gonna make it into a movie in the whole 9 yards? Then you'll be
fabulous.
Riding off in the sunset.
Oh yes.
Is that weird? You just do the Folgers song? And
I was going to do. It is funny though, because I know we were just saying before the show, I don't actually drink coffee, but one of my favorite songs in my life is the Folgers theme song, which is so bizarre. But I think it's the feeling of the song that gives you caffeine that you don't even have to drink from the coffee.
Yeah.
Listener, he drinks 17 gallons of decaffeinated tea. He's got like 3 large Dunkin'
double fisting.
Wicked Lodge over there.
The only problem I have with this is there's just not enough ice in them. I need it like frozen almost.
We could do let it. I was gonna go and do a frozen.
Oh yeah.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go.
I still am holding out hope that we collab on writing a e-commerce jingle together. You've written and done so many. You had great holiday one, the Christmas one. If you haven't heard it, ladies and gentlemen, look it up. I don't know where you find it. ChrisPerry.com.
I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus by the Jackson 5, that version. We flipped it to I Saw Santa Shop on Amazon. And then for the new year, we did, instead of the Gummy Bears cartoon TV show from the 80s, we flipped it to Omni Bears shopping here and there and everywhere. So I've actually got, it's funny, Scott, that you mentioned Let It Be, because I've actually written, I've written one called PDP. So
getting behind the curtain. So now that I've gotten to know Chris, and now that my brain is, because I did the, hello Venda, hello Sella. I did that jingle. I have texting. I'm constantly listening to songs, and I'm texting Chris the songs that I want.
You should do this one.
This one.
It's awesome. No, because honestly, I'll be listening. I also started recording. I recorded the PDP Let It Be version. So it's honestly great minds think alike here. But
there you go.
But I haven't done the video part because I need to pair that with the video. But I did do. I've also recorded the Instead of Shape of My Heart by our good friends the Backstreet Boys. I did Shape of My Cart. These actually cost a decent amount of money to have like someone like animate for you. So I have to actually save up my money.
I know your animations are fantastic. Okay. A lot of the listeners love our little preamble patter, but they're kind of like, dude, I listen to this show to get like stuff. I need juicy nuggets, and we should get First Mover. I'm not going to go into the whole sing and dance about that, but you should check it out. It's probably one of the biggest educational, I don't know what you guys do.
We call ourselves upskillers because we do training and certification and immersions and workshops, but we also upskill. My business partner Oscar he's always like, upskilling sounds only like training, and I said, well, only because that's how it's been used. Upskilling is also like we embed ourselves in teams and help them get work done. We're consultants, but practitioner consultants. So it's not like, oh, I have a great theory, hope it works. Like we've done it. We can help you do it. And then we do a lot of the public events, and I say thought leadership, but I hate that word because it sounds like, oh, I'm so I'm a thought leader.
Yeah, hey, you've had me on there, and I got nothing.
No, you're amazing, right? Like, one, you bring this energy to it, and then two, you're actually giving like, okay, here's a principle, here's a practice. Do this, don't do that. I love that. So that's what people really want. I mean, I don't mean they don't like a little theory, because sometimes you need that to change your mindset, but it has to quickly tie to, so what, now what? What do I go do? Like,
right.
Or what can I do? So yeah, we are, our tagline this year, and I really like it, is upskilling for a change. And the for a change is a double entendre. One, for whatever change comes next, because we're always focused on the next thing, but also for a change, because kind of training and consultancy, the bar has been pretty low. To be fair, I've sat through several trainings that made me want to take Ambien and maybe drink a little less decaf tea just to go to sleep. So we try to up the ante on that.
And because every time I've seen Chris Perry anywhere on LinkedIn, anywhere, out in the wild, he has this beautiful blazer on and a shirt. So I blazered up.
Part of my skin.
Yeah. Summer, don't you have some actual questions that relate to the product detail page?
About 6 minutes ago, I was thinking how to tie in what's happening. And what I was wanting to bring to the listeners is, you're clearly a hype man, and you have brought this hypeness to First Mover, and you guys are doing this program called EndCaps, where you are hyping up brands who are crushing it on Amazon, specifically on their product display pages. Can you share a little bit about what the project is that you're working on?
Yes. So for a long time, and again, having worked on the digital shelf myself, in the early days of like actually making images on PowerPoint when we didn't have Photoshop, trying to and this is Amazon, but obviously beyond on Walmart and Target and all the other leading platforms. There's been so much work done by amazing leaders who either were focused on digital shelf, or the graphic design teams, or the agencies, or even the e-com teams that were lean and mean and fighting machines and had to do it themselves or coordinate it themselves. Yeah. There's been so much work on it. And then there were no actual awards or anything to recognize how great the work is, outside of the fact that you might be ranking at the top. And I mean, you might say, well, that's a reward enough that you win the digital shelf, but there was no one actually.
How many times have we seen a product like be number one, and it's like has, some picture they took on their cell phone, and it's like, it doesn't have a title, yet somehow their product is selling more than everyone else's.
Well, and obviously there's so many levers, obviously, that you can pull to influence short-term gains and wins on the digital shelf. But we felt like there are a lot of leading indicators of like what an amazing page should be, for the algorithm, and now increasingly the AI algorithm, but B, the shopper, right? Because at the end of the day, part of the algorithm is feeding off what really converted for the keywords or the queries that I'm putting in. And so there are a lot of advertising awards, but there was nothing for digital merchandising or digital PDPs. And so we felt like we needed to start one, but we didn't want it to just be a first mover thing. We wanted it to be an industry thing, and we didn't want there to be any barrier to participating. So there's no cost or anything for it. We launched it at the end of last year. We actually announced it at Grocery Shop, and we started with our grocery category one for 2024. But now we have 6 mega categories. We've done healthcare in January. We have household and baby that ends in March next week. We have beauty in May, pet in August, grocery again in October for Grocery Shop, just tying into the timeliness of that, and then the Bev Out category in December. And so basically every 2 months we feature a different mega category, and we look at submissions, but also top selling and new products on Amazon, Walmart, and Target in those categories and subcategories. And we audit it on it's 6 different criteria buckets, but it's about 100 different manual, like quantitative and qualitative factors of what would be leading to a best-in-class PDP. We name the finalists, we shortlist finalists, and then we have a panel of judges from across the industry, some very well-known celebrities in our space, to weigh in from their different points of view on what the best, what mobile readiness is versus shopper centricity. And then they pick the best-in-class winners, and then they get like legit awards. Like, this is a weapon and a trophy. This is the household trophy.
Listener, he has got the trophy up, and it's substantial. So, are you going to do like an Oscars? It's going to be a live televised streamed event at some point?
Yeah. So every single category has a summit where we not only congratulate the finalists that have been announced on LinkedIn and on our EndCaps website, endcaps.org. We have the summit, which is virtual just for accessibility, just so everybody can join us and then get the recording after. But part of that isn't just, hey, great, congrats. It's we announce the winners. We actually break down why the winners won, so that you can see what you could be doing differently as well, or why you should do more of that, right? Scale that for your brand. And then we also then do a little education part and then share a playbook out afterwards with those best practices codified. So the idea, again, is to democratize great knowledge, and know that it's changing, right? Obviously, what constitutes amazing storytelling has principles that won't change, but the examples of what's out there keep getting better, hopefully, with some of our effort. And actually, we've had a couple brands for upcoming beauty, pet, and grocery who are already telling us that they're, based on what they've already seen, they're actually designing their PDPs around our best practices so they win the award, which is interesting because when they say design it around our best practice, they're not ours. They're the best practice. Like, it's not, we didn't make them up. This is what you should be doing, right? So we're very excited about how this is coming to life.
Look at that.
Great. So for our listeners, our listeners get to kind of cheat then, right? Because you're going to give some juicy nuggets on what these quantifying numbers are showing you on what's working on PDP. So let's jump into it. What's going on the Amazon PDP landscape?
So we do score. Obviously, when we look at pages, we obviously score everything for content completeness and compliance. And to be fair, some of those elements do change a little bit by nature of what Amazon's title requirements are now versus, so you still have some brands that have the old, I've repeated the keyword multiple times and it's still,
share what that is really quick. Some people may not know the new titles that Amazon announced. I think you had to change it in December.
Right. And I don't want to misspeak for all the requirements because obviously there's always more to it.
I dare you to misspeak.
But no. So part of it was just, a lot of people had uber keyword loaded titles, which again worked in the algorithm. So, it's the path of least resistance. But ultimately that was, I think a lot of this is going back to what's more shopper centric, knowing that the algorithm and the AI is technically advanced enough to figure out that you are relevant for disinfecting wipes and you don't have to say it 3 times.
Disinfecting wipes for dog poop, for germs.
Yeah, exactly. Each phrase is good, but AI can also kind of figure that out based on, I was playing around with Rufus just even ahead of it. Just, I'm always seeing what it recommends to me and how it recommends to me based on what I plugged in, right? My output is only as good as my input. So I have to have the content in my content, but it doesn't need it keyword stuffed to
so Amazon
that it's the right answer.
Amazon said, you can't have the same word in title more than twice.
Right.
You can't have, they've always had character limitations, but they
didn't really enforce them all the time.
They never enforced it.
And honestly, they're not still really enforced. There's still brands out there who are in our submissions. And I'm not one to immediately ding something that's got to go through I'm not going to say you can't win the Amazon one because you don't meet their new criteria. That's limiting us to hey, someone changed their title, but they still have a crappy story in their page. We have to look at the combination of things in a score and weight them a little bit just on what we think is most important. But completeness, compliance, and SEO. Let me say completeness and compliance are step 1, right? Do I have all the elements filled out, right? But then there's some basics of how consistent my imagery looks, how branded I've come together. But it's really where it starts to what we know is one of the most important parts of that flywheel is that that click and sales conversion against a keyword, but for what was most relevant. But a lot of the time it's really based on the story selling. And I know one of our judges, Lauren Lee Gilbert of the Digital Shelf Institute, I know likes that word too. We talk a lot about this, but it's in a matter of milliseconds, a shopper is asking themselves a few very quick questions, right? And you can audit this without being a designer or a content expert. If I'm looking at a carousel or I'm actually reading the bullets, some people do that, or I'm looking at the enhanced page, I'm actually asking myself, what is this? Is it for me? Does it work for what it's supposed to be for me for? How do I know that's true? And why is this better than alternatives? And then, oh, by the way, what other things do you offer me in your portfolio? So the funny part is in that very quick storyline, oddly, a lot of people miss it. So like, it's like, so what is it? It's, you know, sensitive skin laundry detergent. Awesome. Is it for me? We have lots of other products for you. And you're like, whoa, 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 hold on. I'm still trying to figure out if this is the one for me. Like, and so sometimes they have the content. I call it like there's a science and an art. They have the information. It's not in the right order. Or they have, and I know sometimes, we were talking about this before, sometimes retailers, I won't name them, mess up our order. Like the goblins go in there and mess them up, or a seller has a third-party seller.
I'll mention it. Amazon's a freaking nightmare. They always have been. They always will be. You do the best work. You spend $1 zillion creating the most beautiful PDP. Here comes Matt the engineer with Summer's coffee this morning. That always takes the bell ring. And then you wake up in the morning and poof, it's all screwed up. It's gone. All the money is down the tubes and you have to redo it. Thank you very much.
And that's why one of our mantras in the EndCaps is the easy, intuitive reality that the digital shelf is a practice, not a project, right? It's never done. Unfortunately, it'd be so nice if I could be done with pieces of it. I'm never really done with pieces of it because it is either being undone for me or against me, or it's changing and the requirements are changing. But that's why I think what has happened a lot, because again, the people actually on the digital shelf who touch it have not forgotten that this matters, right? It's that a lot of other people are like the shiny object. It got dull. We're moving on to the next thing. And you're like, no. This thing is the only thing that earns you the right to even talk about the next thing, right? You can't go, do full funnel activation. And then when you get to the bottom of the funnel, you stink, or you didn't keep. So full funnel content is part of what we look at too, is like how you've tied it all the way through, and how you integrate the product merchandising with also the brand messaging. Don't just make it a brand message only, because I'm not. Do
you also go to their brand store page to see?
We do, and we've started with PDPs as the first thing that was like the most universal, because not everyone and not every retailer has the same brand page experience. But we are going to add those, because that's why we call it EndCaps Digital Merchandising Awards of Distinction, because it's not limited to PDPs. There are brand stores. There are other elements of e-merchandising or omni merchandising we want to include long term. But we have to start somewhere. We already had a lot of people that were like, what about Canada? I love Canada. We want to include you. We just don't that's a whole nother series of
Can you say it louder though? We really do love Canada.
We do
love Canada.
No, we do. No, we've had people from all over it's like, what about Eastern European markets? I'm like, hold on. We just started in the US. We're getting really great feedback. I imagine we'll want to add. We also have to have comparable retailers too, to a degree. So like an Amazon and Walmart in a Mexico and a Canada would make sense. An Amazon in the UK or France would make sense. But then you get to like Tesco is a little different as a grocer mass retailer than a Walmart is in terms of the capabilities. So you can't, because I don't want to say I'm not knocking Piggly Wiggly, right? But I don't want to say let's look at Piggly Wiggly's very limited PDPs as of today and say the best page was one that just had an image, right?
No. That would be. Let's continue to stick with. We're sticking with Amazon PDP.
Yeah. We can focus on it.
Yeah.
Now I have a question though. Are you elitists? Are you only awarding these to people who can pay for certain optimizations on Amazon? And how important do you think that is? For example, premium, A+ premium.
No, that's a really good question. The short answer is no. What I would say is I would say maybe naturally brands that are able to do well may have had some resources to do well. We don't ask when we survey the submission. We're not saying what agency did you use and how much money did you spend. But to be fair, we've had a lot of challenger brands actually break through, and medium and smaller companies break through, because again, they're actually fully dedicated to constant optimization. So they actually do better than the big guys and gals who just, it's kind of spray and pray and I hope it worked. And whereas you're actually on your page seeing that the order is wrong. And they hadn't seen it for 3 weeks because they hadn't looked at their digital shelf report with their big fancy tool that they were using to check whether it was, so that's the thing is, so sometimes it is boots on the ground or hands on the keyboard, right? Actually auditing this real time. And it's those store walks that really help.
They can do it faster. The small brands can do it much faster, right? They can, and they don't have 7 layers of approvals in the brand and the marketing department and everybody else. They can just boom, 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 make quick iterations.
Okay, when we get back, let's talk about RUFUS and AI and how it's scraping those detail pages and how those content tweaks that you mentioned could really benefit you.
I'm Bryn Snyder. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Slate, and I'm also an dental interpreter. I help make dentistry easy for you to understand. And you're listening to Always Off Brand.
All right, so let's dig into how we take this order of copy, order of carousel images, order of how do we take all of this and optimize it to make sure that we're answering the Rufus questions? You know, AI is a huge part of search right now, and we really need to consider it as we're strategizing these end caps, as you're calling them. So tell us a little bit about that and how you're navigating it.
Yeah, so obviously it's relatively new in the whole scheme of things. It's still going to keep evolving. The black box hasn't been completely opened, or not to say that they're
never going to open the black box.
The algorithms are never going to be open for us to see, but trying to hack it to figure out what seems to be the most, with testing and learning. But I go back to the importance of the storytelling, and that's why we were kind of walking through that little rubric, because one, I've got to convert the actual shopper if they reach my page. But I have to also get them to reach my page, which is a combination of, do I show up organically in search, which again is fueled by a lot of factors? Am I paying for it? But also, am I not just showing up in search? Am I showing up in the AI assisted search, right? But that shopper centricity of thinking through the questions of both the science and the art is important, because if I've thought through that, then I might not have it perfect, but I'm actually have thought through. So what would somebody be asking? Like what is it for me, or does it actually work? Or why does this work better than alternatives? Like those kind of questions are the things that I'm kind of asking great example. Just before our session today, I was kind of playing around with it just to see what the latest and how it would it get to the result that I was kind of hoping it would get to without leading the witness. So I come from a long line of sweaty people, right? So I like to have, deodorant and antiperspirant, right? But I need the one that doesn't cause the stains, because some of them actually cause yellow stains in your shirts. And when I wear white shirts, that's not good, because then I can't, no matter how much I work at it, it doesn't. So you might say this is TMI, right? But I was asking so I actually typed in what deodorant options, and ingredients can help prevent armpit stains, right? As an example, right? A real transparent need, right? And I already have some, but I wanted to see if it would recommend something different, right? Well, then it started to name it actually started to answer it like ChatGPT or Perplexity might actually answer my question with what ingredients would help with that, different types. So it was actually educating me, but then it got to, and these are some of the brands that often have products that have those ingredients. So it wasn't even recommending which one yet. It was just giving me a credibility factor around those. It was almost like socially validating the brands. And then it offered two options. Here's some too. Well, then I said, well, I realized I didn't actually say it was for men. Because two of the ones that looked a little more like they were more women. There was a secret one and stuff. Not that I wouldn't like it. I'm sure I would, but I was looking for something a little different. So then I said, well, what about for men? And that also has an antiperspirant, because I said deodorant, just kind of assuming that I meant antiperspirant, but it didn't know that I meant it, right? My prompt wasn't complete. So I added that in, and then in this case, it would be in boom, 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 boom. And so
what I'm hearing is the output is going to match the input.
Exactly. And so I understand that across the four of us, if we all had armpit stain issues, we all would need, we might all follow a very different path and get to a different product that fit our unique needs. But the reality is, so the hard part is how do I cater a page to 50,000?
Walk into a store, Chris. This is what drives me crazy. Go to a store.
Scott?
This is the old retail guy. This is what we have been doing for 200 years. Walk into a store with a bunch of stuff, and which one you have to 3 seconds to make you tell me what it is, why I should buy it, and what this is what drives me crazy.
No, you're right. And so I 100% agree with you. I don't know why I haven't audited what was the mentality that got us to I don't want to say the wrong current reality, but what walked us into the current thing versus, I just feel like it was kind of like people took a science approach, if any. Like sometimes we go to pages and there's no content. So like there was no science, but then sometimes you go to a page and you're like, oh my gosh, you've told me every single thing I've ever needed to know about this entire product category. And I didn't need to know any of that. I needed to know 3 things, to your point, to make my decision. The extra stuff was like the I'm glad you asked slides in the appendix of the deck that are like for the real nerd on this category. They wanted to know this, and they can ask or you know, the FAQs or whatever. But I think you have to think through those simple questions that would help make someone make the shopper decision. But then also, again, this is where like some of these cool tools out there to date. I mean, some of the traditional, like the Bizarre Voices, but like the Yogis and things like that can actually do like the sentiment, AI-driven sentiment analysis, so that you can kind of see, like, because you might be missing a question that you personally aren't the sample size of. Like, again, maybe you all don't suffer from stains in white shirts from deodorant and antiperspirant that you were using before that just didn't match your needs.
I dabble.
Right. And what's interesting here.
So like you wouldn't have asked that, but I need to. So we can't cater to 50,000 unique personas until Gen AI does the minority report for us, and every page is just your page. But until then, we kind of have to go like, what's my core segment? What would they need?
Right.
And then and my last little build on this, and I'd love your take on this, is I feel like, you know, and this isn't a political statement because I realize this inclusivity and exclusivity like can be used poorly. But what I mean is every brand wants to include everyone. And I agree. Like, nobody should feel excluded, but what if we just were really inclusive to the audience we actually wanted? Like if I go to a L'Oreal page, it's probably not really talking to me. It would welcome me to buy the product, and it probably would work for me. I mean, Revitalift has been helping thus far. I'm like 88 right now. But
Revitalift is a great product.
It's not really for me. Like, so L'Oreal does a really nice job of being very audience specific, but like be inclusive and be smart about your audience, and don't worry that you're turning someone away, because if that's not your real audience, then that wasn't who.
Yeah.
Why do you care? Like,
you want to know why the PDPs are so shitty?
Summarize it for us, Scott.
Yeah, please. I'd like this.
It's because they can get away with it. They've been lazy, because half the time people go to Amazon and they don't give a crap what the PDP is. They're there to buy it. It's selection, it's choice. Their chart architecture has already been done. It's a simple convenience. They just click on it and they buy it. And because we've been able to get away with it, that's why.
Well, what does Amazon like the most? High conversion rate.
Yeah, conversion. Correct.
And so thinking through the shopper lens, I want to say first, but with a heavy weight, is going to help you not only engage the actual shopper that reached the page with the potential. To your point, like Scott, there are a lot of products that I literally like, yep, bought that before, did the research in the past, it's in, right?
Well, and Rufus knows if you've purchased before.
Right. And it would, so if you've had history, it's gonna elevate that. Just like even before Rufus, where it's like, you've bought this before, right? You know, you bought this in March of 2025, you know, but it's that shopper centricity for the shopper. But then it's also, that's going to force you to think through what content might my audience be asking Rufus, and then iterating on with like this ongoing prompt. Because actually my prompt, I would have typed in like no stain deodorant into the search bar, or you know, deodorant antiperspirant, but like I might not have just said antiperspirant deodorant and then hoped that I could figure out which one did the extra thing that I needed. But because I could almost Googleize my query a bit over and over again, I'm like reiterating my search results, which keep being the only one row of search results, or the 3 or 2 that they give me at a time. So
So let's talk about the SERP, or search engine results page, since we break it down here on the AOB.
Yeah.
When you type that search query into the Amazon search bar and you get your results, the sponsoreds come up first.
Correct.
Right now, we don't have very many advertising capabilities within Rufus. So how do you think they're prioritizing what they're showing to you? Is it relevancy to who they think you are as the consumer? Because I got a women's deodorant. I just did that exercise as we were chatting. And I got a women's deodorant that was stain-free first. And they probably know that I'm a woman just because of my shopping habits, et cetera. So any insight on how that's ranking within the Rufus search? So in the SERP, not on the detail page.
No, that's a good question. I'm not going to speak from like I know the secret, because if I did, I'd be
well. No, I don't think any of us know really the secret sauce.
I kind of think about like it's a little bit. I was thinking a little bit of to a degree. It's like what got you Amazon's choice before, or I'm sorry, what made you Alexa's recommendation, right? If you'd asked Alexa, and again, it wasn't Rufus AI, but if I asked Alexa, even though AI is going to come back into Alexa too, if I asked Alexa, like buy me laundry detergent, it would say the way people had figured it out in the past was the first thing was the one that if you bought that category and that keyword before, and it can deduce that was the same category, it would say, did you mean Tide Power Pods, with Febreze Oceans, what, and it would recommend the thing I'd bought before. If I didn't want that, then I'd say, no, a different one. Then it would recommend, it would either go to the Amazon's choice for that keyword at that time, or in the absence of an Amazon's choice, or if that had been the same, it went to the first organic search result in the, that was the tiering. There was a slide on it somewhere that I'd screenshot at some point, but that was what people had figured out was kind of the order of succession from an Alexa perspective. So there, obviously in that case, there was no official paid placement there either. Mm-hmm. I have to imagine though, in the same way, like it's kind of like earning eye-level placement in store is kind of the equivalent of earning organic search placement. But to be fair, to win eye-level placement in store, you kind of had to have paid for some of that too, because you'd only earn it because you had invested in your brand to win.
Right, because you pay for those shelf placements.
Exactly, right. Yeah. And you may have had to pay a slotting fee too, even though you had the right to be at the eye level. So even before, I'm sure at some point there's going to be some like sponsored something in Rufus where it even says it's sponsored.
There is already.
Like, there is. It's in beta.
Like at scale where it's like where it's almost based on the same paid search relevance, where the quality score makes it less like when I see if I typed it in and it said here's Degree deodorant for men and then a Nike pair of shoes that's sponsored, it wouldn't be relevant to what I just asked for. But it's going to be the way Amazon and other major retailers have I think optimized their auction and the relevance formula has actually created a checks and balances that makes the paid options pretty spot on as options, right? But it does allow someone to usurp themselves into the consideration set that now is uber small. So, but I do think that the recommendations are everything is fed off some level of paid investment somewhere because that's helping drive additional traffic.
Sure. But I just think it also hammers home that point of your PDP needs to be completely retail ready and optimized, because it's not only scanning the copy. It's not only scanning your A+, it's scanning your images in your carousel and your infographics. It can read those words. And so having that fully optimized is going to feed this as well. So
100%, right? I mean, because this is the part where, like, as I know we all know, it's like the massive flywheel that, like, not just the Amazon flywheel that they operate on, but the digital shelf flywheel. Like, there's so many factors that all, like, this actually contributes to this and this, and if this helps the shopper's conversion helps you rank over here, and it all like circles. I mean, it feels like A Beautiful Mind, the movie, with the yarn and thumbtacks, right? But it's like it is like but it really does work like that. But to that point, I would also argue that. I don't know if Amazon's already doing this, but I can't imagine that they wouldn't factor this in. Why do they want to send recommendations to a page that can't convert? So would AI...
Yeah, exactly.
Would AI at some point have another cutoff? It's like, hey, your page is about 80% complete, and there are about 50 other choices that are 90+% complete. I don't want to send... Like, even though this is a good product, there are other good ones too. And we're going to... People who've invested in making sure that they were retail ready to sell to our shopper, our member, our Prime member, our Walmart Plus member, or whatever, all these platforms. I feel like there's going to have to be some level of a quality gatekeeper element in there. That if there already isn't, there's got to be something at some point.
Well, the reviews are that.
Well, true. Well, exactly. But there might be something too where it's like, this was the social validation part that confirmed this is a good product, even if the content had been limited, but this is that the brand has invested in the shopper as well. I don't know. These are all, some of these are pontifications, right? But like, I do believe that there's such a checks and balances already embedded in the whole system, but you only have to tweak them just a little bit to make them even a little better. And again, how is the shopper going to be disappointed? Well, I didn't even know about those 15 other options because they don't matter.
the shopper. Thanks for bringing up the shopper, because we're all practitioners, we're all marketers, right? We're trying to sort this out. I get questions. Well, how do I get the SEO right for Rufus? How do I manage Rufus? How do I manipulate Rufus? Well, again, great question. Doing all the different stuff we're doing, because nobody reads anymore. And then, but I'm sitting here going, the consumer has no idea. They don't give a shit about Rufus, about this, about that. I mean, if it helps them, they will. And Rufus, even in 6 months, has gotten smarter and smarter in some cases. Right?
No, 100%. No, the shopper, this is why even at like a broader level, this was really interesting. And I don't want to misquote the stat, but it was like over 80% of all growth in the United States in all of retail came from e-commerce in 2024 per Circana. Like we were doing some work with them. So
how much percent? What'd you just say?
Yeah, can you? I was just going to ask. Repeat that, please.
He's quoted, guys. He's just like around. He said 80%.
Around, it's like 80. I feel like it's like 88% or something. I'll get the exact quote.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Like basically, if you don't have an e-com strategy, you don't have a growth strategy. Right?
Most people watching this video are probably particularly interested in e-commerce. E-commerce sales for 2024 is going to come in at $1.2 trillion. That's up nearly 8% from the year before. It's up almost 110% from before the pandemic. And it represents 22.5% of total core retail sales. So more than 1 out of every $5 spent in the U.S. last year was spent in e-commerce. And again, if you kind of look at the last 20 years in e-commerce, we've had very robust growth every year, but you could see it was starting to decline before the pandemic. On average, that was about 17.7% a year of growth. Then we locked everyone at home. They all learned how to shop online. They were going to stores less. And so we had this huge spike in e-commerce. People started to get vaccines. They started to get more confident. They returned to stores. And so e-commerce growth curtailed a lot from that crazy spike we had in 2020. So after the 3 years of COVID, after all the economic stimulus, we're really curious to see what would happen in 2023 if we'd return to our regular cadence. And we had a decent year. We were up 9%, still much lower than that historical average, but kind of in line with what we would have expected before the pandemic. And so now sales are actually down a little bit, which is concerning. So e-commerce was 7.9%. A lot of this is what we call the law of large numbers. It's much harder to grow e-commerce because e-commerce has become such a significant part of the total retail picture.
And look at Walmart. Absolutely. Walmart overall grew 5%, but their e-com grew 22%.
No, exactly. But this is what's funny. I don't know the names of the people, but the senior leadership community that obviously weights a lot of its decisions off the Circana data, the market data that it's looking at on how categories are performing and how they're performing. Most of their immediate feedback to Circana and the other stakeholders was not like, oh, wow, we should really double down on e-commerce. It was almost, we've done a disservice by shifting people away from the store. Like not like, oh, they'll come back to the store naturally. Like, we've done wrong. Why? No, the shopper went where they were going to go. Like, the option was available to them, right?
Right.
I love that Steve Jobs quote, like consumers don't know what they want until you show it to them. And Henry Ford had said people would have wanted faster horses or, whatever. Like, people didn't know they wanted an iPhone until
we got iPhones.
Yeah.
I was very happy with my Droid at the time.
Well, no. Like he said, we have a new this, we have a new that, and we have a new this. And everyone's like, oh, and then he's like, and it's just one thing. And they're like, but once you have that though, like, once I know that I can have something quickly delivered to me about the same amount of money that would be delivered slowly to me, or that I would have to go drive to, why would I, to be fair, and I know Amazon has a unique, very ecosystem that makes them money in a lot of ways, but
no,
I order stuff all the time. And it's like, do I want it tomorrow between 4 and 8 a.m. or between 8 and 11 a.m.?
Hold on, but you can get $1 credit on your account if you have eco-friendly boxes and have it in one shipment in 2 days.
No, I know.
Which is another option,
I'm contributing to climate change issues.
Yeah, 100% I am.
I don't even why do I need it at 4 a.m. when I'm not awake?
Because you
just wake up and it's there.
Yeah, I can get it.
Wake up and it's there. It's lovely.
And it doesn't cost me anymore. Because I've already met my $25 threshold or whatever.
Believe me, Chris, we got to go. But you struck a nerve in the fact of, do you need it at 4 a.m.? No. Guess who pays for
you're
it?
Sick. Okay. That's
if you're sick. But what happened is the sellers, the vendors, everybody else is paying for them to make this choice. We're all paying so they can get it there at 4 a.m. because that's what the consumer wants. But
no, exactly. And to that point, the consumer wouldn't be able to want it unless it was available, but it's available, so they want it.
Right.
And we have to, like, I don't mean that I don't have to like it, but to be fair, as a consumer, I do like it. So
of course,
I don't have to like it at work, but I do like it. Like at home,
instant gratification. That's what we want as Americans.
We gotta fuel this, right? And we gotta cater to this. So I love the point is the consumer should be at all of this, even though we can hack the SEO and the algorithm and the RUFUS. All of that is ultimately based on whether someone actually bought your product when they were reading or not reading the page, right? And so we have to. I feel like everybody quickly moved to the science if they did anything, but they didn't remember the art part.
I agree. That's an actually great point, because now there's 700 technologies out there, again, which are awesome, that are constantly telling you what your conversion rate is, what your best, what your brand rank is, what this rank is, what that rank is. I mean, we're spreadsheeted to death. We're flow charted, we're bar charted to death.
Going back to what Chris was saying earlier, like you can't be everything for everyone.
Yeah.
Pick one audience. Pick
one audience, pick one optimization, focus on that and keep it.
One last comment I was going to say, because this is important, because a lot of people doing the digital shelf don't do the media side of things. When you do a media campaign or an annual plan with media, you actually have 4 objectives you're supposed to identify in the brief. It's what's my growth objective? What's my behavioral objective? Who am I trying to target to get that growth? And what behavior do I want to change? Communication objective is how do I want to talk to that audience to do that thing? And then it's the media objective. What media will serve that, and what metric would help me determine whether I've been successful? That sounds so basic, but we don't apply that to the digital shelf. And that's also media, right? So
you want to know why? I'm here to answer all your questions.
I love these.
Because most large organizations don't have the same teams working on their media and their creative and all the work that goes into the media as they do on the listing optimization and the product detail.
100%.
So if you don't have the same person or very tight communication between those two, there's leaks in the bucket. There's going to be holes, and the challenger brands that are kicking your ass, they typically do.
Right, because it is often one person who's kind of doing all of that.
Or we have a game show to do. We have to get another song out of you, Chris Perry. We got a lot of work to do here, and we'll be back right after this with the game show sweeping the nation. What's that keyword?
Hi, I'm Megan Caroon. I'm the CEO and founder of Clear Data, and you are listening to Always Off Brand.
Finally, a game show nerdier than an Excel V lookup. It's time for What's That Keyword? Here's your host, Haley on the news.
All right, let's keep the energy going. Chris Perry stuck around to play What's That Keyword? All right, here's the rules. I am going to give you a product that is sold on Amazon.com, and you have to guess the keyword or keyword phrase that has converted for this product. So what did the customer type in the search bar? Okay, here we go. Your first product is a crocheted halter top.
Ooh.
Crocheted halter top. If you need details, it has like a flower crocheted on it.
Okay. I'm going to go with beach cover-up.
Ooh. Okay, thinking springy warm.
Chris,
Scott?
Oh, second layer. Spring second layer.
What would the first layer be if you had a halter top on? Maybe just a bra? I don't know.
Swimsuit.
Oh.
So my 9 and 11-year-old, they don't wear coats or any warm layers in the Boston cold of winter. So I would say like punishment for boys 9 to 12. They wear their real coat if that was the option that they had to wear.
All right, no, I was actually looking for spring break outfits. It's spring, everybody's vacationing. It was, fun fact, it's one of the top searched fashion terms in the past 10 days on Amazon. So.
Why don't I have a bad holiday brain. I can't come up with any of these holidays.
You got to keep your marketing calendar up to date. Like, come on, what are you doing over there? All right. Your next thing, since we just talked about luxury and how it's kind of having a moment on Amazon, your next product is a used Gucci handbag? This category is kind of
cheap
exploding.
Gucci. I'll start it off. Cheap Gucci.
Cheap Gucci.
I'm going traditional, which I never do on my guesses. Used designer handbags.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
I was wondering if you had typed in, would it have said like, did you mean like Glad trash bags? Like I typed in the wrong thing.
Like thinking Rufus? Like, was it a typo?
Yeah. I mean, Glad trash bag?
All right. No, I was actually looking for pre-loved luxury handbag, because the people trying to buy Gucci aren't going to touch the word used, because that's peasant talk, right? They're going to talk about pre-loved. Because
you asked me earlier if I was an elitist, but I'm not. I love
pre-love. Oh yes, this sounds absolutely lovely.
But I know we've talked before. Like if we want to be sustainable, we might want to think about ways to make like all of the returns that come back to Amazon pre-loved, right? And again, we were maybe toilet paper. I mean, anything could be pre-loved. So,
do we have to change the game to what's that Rufus yet? I mean, this is what I worry about.
All right, everybody, that was so much fun. We'll be right back with the news.
Hey, this is Brian Hennessy from Talcoot, and you are listening to the Always Off-Brand podcast.
Okay, sing it. I'm recording. Rick Astley, sing it. What's the song?
It's like, we're no strangers to love. It's I'm still learning all the words of the song because I know the main. Never gonna give you up. But he has it really thick.
But
he's
never gonna run.
The redhead
and hurt you.
He looks like the guy from Breakfast Club, like the.
He does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is how we wake up every day at our house at 7 a.m.
I like this song.
Great song. Did he have any more than this hit? Or was he a one-hit wonder?
This was his biggest one hit, but there are some other songs. I'm familiar with this one the most. You know the rules.
His video hit more than 1 billion YouTube views back in 2001.
Kind of a big 2021.
Never gonna give you up. All right, Chris Berry.
It was a pleasure, and
I look forward to meeting you in 3 dimension in New Orleans, and I'll be moderating storytelling across all Omni channels or something like that. Storytelling through content across every channel.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Now I'm going to have this song stuck in my head all day.
Never gonna give you up. I love it. We'll talk soon. Have an awesome weekend.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Well, that's all been fun and games. But it's that time, the time America has been waiting for. It's time for the news.
Well, now we can eat now and pay later because Klarna has teamed up with DoorDash. So you're ordering your meal on DoorDash and maybe you can't afford the whole thing. So you split it up into 4 payments using Klarna.
Oh, I think this is going to be big.
I do too.
DoorDash is expensive because by the time you pay for the delivery fees and the tip and all the things, you're paying probably like 35 to 40% more in my experience.
Pro tip, buy the DoorDash pass.
See,
I'm
not a pro.
love the DoorDash pass.
Well, what's interesting is this is all strategic moves because they're set to have an IPO later this year. And so they're scraping up all of these partnerships that they can now so that these execs can go make multi-bajillion dollars, right, when they go public later in the year. What is really interesting here and how this kind of relates to our retail e-com is OnePay owns Klarna. Well, guess who owns OnePay?
Who?
Walmart.
Good, good for Walmart. Finally,
they have to do something. And what's interesting is, what was it? Last year, 18 months ago, Walmart implemented Klarna into their marketplaces and to their POS systems. So you can actually buy now, pay later at the POS in the store. Their sales went up 24%.
Boom.
Say that again?
24%. Walmart sales increased after implementing this buy now, pay later. So it's not credit based.
No.
All they have to do is split that transaction into 4 equal payments over, I think it's a 2-week period. So like
whatever the time period.
Yeah, whatever the time period is.
Huh.
Wow.
And something that Amazon has really been pushing my brand to do is these VPI, so vendor paid installments. And so in our negotiations for JBPs this year, they're really pushing vendors to fund these buy now, pay later programs. Because the conversion, they're selling the conversion rate is so much higher if they can pay in 4. Right. But, you know, for a lot of us, our ASPs, like it doesn't make sense to pay it in 4.
Right.
So, you know, why would you fund it? But
my initial problem with that for Amazon standpoint, same thing with all these people. You know how much money they make on your money?
Oh,
all the money they hold. It's like, no, I don't need to finance even more. And then of course they're gonna make more money off you if you want, you know, if you want extra discounts if they pay in 60 days or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer, are you laughing? Why are you smiling?
It's just it's unbelievable that they would try to ask. You know what? It's not unbelievable. It's
the chutzpah. The chutzpah of these people.
The chutzpah.
Well, Klarna, get this. So just last year, their revenue went up to $2.8 billion. So
are
talk
they
about
only in the US or are they international?
No, they're Swedish based. So they are international.
Sweden.
Oh, they're from Sweden.
Oh God, please cut that.
Please cut that. It's a Swedish meatball guy on Sesame Street.
Yeah, so it's just really interesting. And the Gen, what is it? The Gen X's, the kids
who don't have money. Yeah, them.
Gen
people
Z's.
No, you're Gen.
I'm Gen
X. Oh,
yeah,
my bad.
Old.
The Gen Zs don't have money. And we know that there's data saying that they don't have credit cards. They're not using any sort of financing. So this is their form of, I don't know, spreading it out.
Yeah.
So
really it's got to affect your credit score though, right? If you miss one of those payments, it has to affect your credit score, doesn't it?
I have no idea. I don't use it.
So
I don't know.
What if you sign up for it and then not pay and we can see what happens?
Oh, sure.
Didn't we already go through that with the anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was interesting. So I wonder what average cart size at DoorDash is. That would be my question. And what people really want to split up into 4. What's that bar that we're setting as a society for these pay in 4 installments? And then that's making me ask myself, well, does it make sense to fund VPI? I don't know. Anyways.
The nerd.
Right. Let's do Summer's favorite part that everybody watches, the wrap up. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Laura Meyer. I'm the founder and CEO of Envision Horizons, and you're listening to Always Off Brand.
Chris Perry, what a gem that guy is. You wind him up and you just let him go, and he just gives you joy, entertainment, juicy nuggets, everything above.
I love it because, it's all about the people. And you know why?
Can you tell listener, she needs to go. She's got a hard stop and she needs to go. She goes, that could have been the record. I actually, after 220 episodes, that could be the record.
Why, y'all? Why?
Because people, does it have something to do about people?
People matter.
Thank you, Haley. People matter. And you are listening to Always
Off.
Love ya. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Bye.
Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I hate my bye-bye. I'm changing it.
No.
Bye-bye.
Just say deuces.
Peace. See ya later.
Hey there, this is Haley from Quickfire, and they want me to read this so you know what this podcast is part of and how to find out more if you want. Always Off Brand is a production of Quickfire LLC and a part of the Learn and Laugh series on the Quickfire Podcast Network. For more information, go to quickfirenow.com. Have a good one, and thanks for listening.